One of the greatest American rights that we have is the right to vote. We need to make sure we take the good message back to individuals in our community and our neighborhoods to let them know to engage one of the greatest American rights that we have. You know, I want to thank those individuals that's been advocates of positive messaging. Positive messaging is important, especially when we have a community in trauma. Flint has been bruised and battered over the years, but we're coming back stronger. You know, from crisis to recovery, we have been doing that. Now we move into our nation where we need to move our nation into recovery mode. We need to recover the mentalities and the hearts of individuals that reside in our communities. Now, when we look at the city of Flint, we talk about black and brown and underserved communities throughout our nation. We need to make sure that they're involved in the voting process. One of the greatest documents that we have as American citizens is our Constitution. You can get a Constitution courtesy of your state representative of the 34th, 70th District back there on the table. If you don't have your Constitution, you need to get one. You need to understand that. You know, especially if you're African American, you need to know the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. If you're a woman, you need to know the 19th Amendment. And understand that these are living documents in our communities to increase the quality of life for us all. We need to be agents of the change that we want to see. Our kids cannot become what they cannot see, but they will emulate what they do see. So we have a greater responsibility than just the next election. We have to be statesmen. We have to move forward, moving our community forward to help educate our children. That's why I want to thank, Quinn Chapel for having us here today.
In this year's election, we're making very serious choices. And it's not just a choice about who will hold particular offices, but it's a choice that's really more about whether or not the people holding those positions will do the work that's important to the people in our communities. You know, it makes a difference who sits in these offices when it comes to access to health care. I'll give you an example. I wrote the legislation to cap the cost of insulin. You know, insulin sometimes can cost a person without proper insurance $1,000 a month. It costs $5 to produce a vial of insulin. Anybody out there know somebody or have somebody in their family that is dependent upon insulin? In the richest country in the world, we should not ever be in a position where there's a person out there who has life-saving medication just across the pharmacy counter but can't reach it because they can't afford it.
Well, one of the challenges that the community has is that we have approximately 80,000 residents, but we have 47,000 felons. So one of the things that I believe for this community that we are not taking a look at is the demographics and the makeup of our current residents. So if we have 47,000 felons, we have a large majority of Flint Community School children that have one or more parents that's incarcerated. So when you're dealing with lead poisoning, when you're dealing with environmental situations, when you're dealing with having to have come from a broken home, it creates barriers to education that we need to look at.
I talk about unfinished business, and one of the things is the unfinished pipes. And so I need to give a shout out because Rhonda Grayer from W.T. Stevens is here. And I want to say thank you to her for once again putting the health and the well-being of the city, of the people of Flint, first. And making sure these pipes continue to get changed, because that's something that should have been done. One of the other priorities on my platform is public safety and crime. We hear crime is high all over, but one thing we know is people are moving right outside of Flint. They're moving to Grand Blanc, Flint Township, Burton, Swartz Creek, because it's safer. And so we need to have a public safety plan to address crime. When I was in office, we were in the top 5 most dangerous cities, and we got out of the top 25, and it can be done again, especially when we've had ARPA funds sitting there since last May of 2021. That should be a crime in and of itself. We know something that's going to help us reduce and address crime is economic development, and we have a plan for economic development and moving the city forward. And one thing we know is everybody deserves economic opportunity in the city of Flint. And while we brought economic development back to the city for the first time in 14 years, it's been given away, and we're going to bring it back to Flint because we need Flint-focused economic development. Blight. We can talk about blight. That's another priority, and it goes hand in hand with crime. And again, there have been ARPA dollars sitting there since last May to address blight. And when I talk about blight, I'm not talking about just tearing down. I'm talking about home and sustainable homes and single dwelling homes that people want to have in the city of Flint, especially if we want to keep people here and bring people here and increase our tax base. We've got to talk about building up Flint and not just tearing things down. And that's what the people deserve. I've alluded to those ARPA funds that could be used for public safety, that could be used to address these raggedy streets that we have, that could be used to address blight, and also to help people with housing.
So I practiced law for about 6 years, representing low-income tenants and landlord-tenant matters. I represented the city of Highland Park as an assistant city attorney. I had my own law practice. I was then appointed magistrate for the city of Flint. I was the first female appointed, and I served there for 6 years before the position of attorney referee became available. Judge Ransom appointed me 20 years ago. It'll be 20 years October 7th that I've been serving as an attorney referee. Attorney referees make decisions in our family division of the court, much like our family division judges make. As Ms. Weir indicated, Judge Beagle is retiring. Well, I serve at the pleasure of Judge Beagle right now because he is our chief judge. I have sat on Judge Beagle's bench and heard his docket before. I am committed to our families and children to the extent that I don't hesitate. If I get a call from law enforcement in the middle of the night to make a decision regarding protecting the public from, a youth, or Child Protective Services who calls in the 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and ask me to protect a child.
I had a atypical route to becoming a judge. I was appointed to the court from private practice. My career was devoted to appeals. I started my career as a law clerk in the Michigan Supreme Court. I clerked there for 6 years for 2 separate justices. And then for 11 years, I was a private practice appellate lawyer for a large civil rights and personal injury lawyer. During my time there, I was arguing cases in the Sixth Circuit, the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeals, arguing for the rights of the little people. I was arguing for civil rights. I was arguing for the wrongfully imprisoned. I was arguing to make sure that justice matters.
I would like to see new schools be built. It's very important that we maintain our Flint community schools. We want to keep our public schools open and active. We want to make sure that we offer a variety of academics and curriculum for our students to succeed. And I'm out of breath because I ran up here. But again, on November 8th, make sure that you are careful as to who you select to sit in those seats. Because right now, we really need a working board. And we need a group that will work, a board that will work with the superintendent and staff collectively. Again, my name is Linda Booth, and I'm running for a 6-year seat. My name is actually on the top of the ballot and several others. There's about 15 individuals running for a school board. Get a chance to talk to each and every one of them and find out where they stand with the Flint Community Schools.
We're in a fight for our basic democracy, from the school boards on through the local municipalities and county, state, and federal. And for you to pay attention to everybody's qualifications, because not everybody that's running is really who they say they are, and you need to check them out. I myself, has become extremely important. I've ran against both fellow Democrats and Republican, who are really Republicans in disguise. And so you need to check that out and understand what you're doing. The opposition is well organized, and they are trying to assault our basic democracy.
I'm the mother of 3. All of them attended Flint schools at some point in their educational careers. The school system has challenges, but they have the most dedicated administration and teachers that I've encountered. So I want to partner with our teachers and our administration to make Flint schools not what they used to be, but better than what they used to be.
And when it comes to making sure that our community has a voice in Lansing, it's about reversing the trend we've experienced. When we've lost jobs, when we've lost funding, when we've lost opportunity, those aren't just numbers on a page. Those are the stories of our friends and neighbors and ourselves. We've lived through folks moving away, families getting broken up, and all of us being made worse off. Not the best politician in the world can reverse anything like that overnight in a single term or in a few terms. But we can start. And that starts with making sure that our community has an advocate in the room.
I'll be quick to the point, folks. I'm running for school board to rebuild trust in our system. There's 15,000 students who live in the city of Flint, but less than 3,000 choose to attend our schools. Like him right here. He's being shy. But my point is, we have to rebuild trust. We have amazing teachers. We have amazing students, just like Dylan right here. But it's our leadership which is the problem. Folks don't trust our schools. Folks don't trust our leadership. A bit about me. I'm a former teacher. I taught in Detroit, Chicago, and Flint. I spent 3 years in state government in 5 different states, including right here in Michigan. In my current role, I work in economic development, trying to bring good paying jobs back to our city and county. I'm running with 5 quality candidates as well. Myself, Emily Dorr, Melody Rutherford, Teray King, and Michael Clack. I think we have a unique opportunity to change our schools, our city, and our children, just like him right here. Thank you so much.
I've been a lawyer for over 20 years, and my practice consists of, and has consisted of, all of the areas this spot would require, depending on whether it's family division or criminal civil division. I myself take my job very seriously, just like the Court of Appeals judge just said. One of the things that made me want to run, I'm very passionate about children. I have 3 beautiful children. I would do anything for my children. But I want to do everything in my power. Obviously, a family law seat entails protecting the rights of our vulnerable and innocent children.
I've come out and enjoyed we have a mayor coming off of a primary. Well, I've worked with him, and I've experienced honesty, truth, and caring.
Now, since this is a get out to vote rally, what is the most compelling thing you can say to encourage Flint residents and this county residents to get out and vote?
Well, your vote counts. When I won my first election, this council person